Have you ever raised your voice at your family even though you promised to yourself that you weren't going to do that anymore? Or maybe you caught yourself eating brownies and while you're in the middle of doing it, you remember that you weren't going to do this because you're supposed to be eating healthy. So why are you eating these brownies right now anyway? Well, that is the focus of today's topic. Hi, my name is Nikki. I'm late diagnosed autism and ADHD with a history of trauma. And today's topic is just an important piece of information about how human beings work that I would like you to understand if you're neurodivergent or not neurodivergent, and especially if you have kids, because we can worry a lot about the behavior of our kids. But the truth is that most people don't understand how human behavior works. The reason that you're raising your voice even though you said you weren't going to, and you're eating the brownies even though you said you weren't going to, is because you really are not your body and you do not have full control over your body. And this is not something that we hear about because, especially in a Western society, the maxim, is that the right word, that we hear is that it is all about self-control and self-discipline. And if you're not doing exactly what you're supposed to do, it's just because you're lazy. There's this craze right now for radical personal responsibility, which is great in theory, but that's not actually how human beings work. So if all of that's not true, what is true, and how can we use this information to live a better life? Well, the truth is that the part that you think of as you, your best self, is your higher thinking. And that's actually happening on the surface of your brain, on the cortex. Understanding this matters because this is the newest part of your brain, and it also makes it the weakest part of your brain. And this matters because if you want to stay calm with your family or make sure you don't eat that brownie, that message is likely coming from the outside of your brain. And that information needs to travel electrically through your brain to your brainstem, into your nervous system, to get into your body, to make you take the action of taking the breath or walking away from the kitchen. And the act of that information traveling through your brain is kind of like the medieval hero that needs to sneak into a cave past a sleeping dragon in order to accomplish a task. And if you happen to wake one of those sleeping dragons, say like the limbic system that's in charge of our emotional energy, it's going to take over your body because it's a lot stronger than your higher thinking is. Your limbic system might wake up and say, I can't believe that they're doing that because it includes, the color yellow, and I hate the color yellow because of this memory of something that happened when we were 7 that you don't even consciously remember, but your limbic system does. And it is stronger than you. So it's the thing that decides we're going to have this angry reaction because that is the cue we have in this situation. This is why learning to stay centered and breathe is really, really important, because our highest self is not our strongest self. What I'm basically saying here is emotional regulation and deep breathing and meditating. All of these things are about quieting the parts of our brain that are going to be the most energetically charged, because they will take over our body and make us do things that our highest self doesn't want to have happen. Because our highest self understands there are serious ramifications, that we are causing damage when we yell at our family. But our body just understands that there's a high emotional charge and it needs to get it out. That you really aren't in control of your body 99% of the time, and you're not in control of your mind 99% of the time. This is important to understand because it means we can yell at our family because we think it's okay, or we can yell at our family because we know it's not okay, but we don't have enough control over the energy that is flowing through our body. So all these other programs are taking place, whether we like it or not. The more we get emotionally regulated, the stronger we make our parasympathetic nervous system and our vagus nerve, the easier it is to stay calm. The more that we can have our intention of staying calm match up with the reality of the action of staying calm, even though, the child just tipped over the lamp and it broke. Hopefully you can see how that is really useful to understand as an adult human being in being so much more gentle with yourself, because it's not about willpower. It's about like calming power and like healthy expressions of energy, which can be hard when you are neurodivergent, but that is a whole other topic. And if we want to take this topic now and switch it to looking at children, what this means is that when we are confused of why our child is doing something, or when we don't want them to do something, it really does not work at all to just say, Stop doing that. Don't cry. You shouldn't be angry. You can't react like that because it has nothing to do with whether or not the child wants to do that thing. They are so young that they might be attached to that story and say, well, my behavior is okay because it's justified because Susie did this thing and I didn't like it. And then they might, but the story doesn't matter. If they were able to stay energetically calm, they wouldn't have that story and they wouldn't do that thing. The problem is not your child. Your problem is not ever that your child has, evil thoughts or is a bully or something like that. Even if they're yelling that they hate you to make you feel bad, that's not really the problem. People only do that and children only do that when there is a strong energy that is running through them that is taking control of their body and needs to express itself, and that is how it's coming out. The role of parenting changes considerably. It's no longer about telling the child what they should be doing because that really doesn't matter. It's about keeping your emotional energy calm enough and your child's their body's emotional energy calm enough, keeping the body self-regulated enough with enough sleep and enough exercise and sunlight and proper healthy movement and healthy environments that the body stays energetically calm so that the child can express themselves articulately and accurately through the body. Not just expressed through voice, but also expressed through the actions that they want to take. One example I could give to help illustrate the fact that it is all about the energy that is in the body and not about the child themselves is, I don't know if this happens with your children, but ever since my child is small, I have been quite aware that when he is upset or angry, he is like 500 times more likely to accidentally hurt himself in some way because the body's not operating smoothly. So he's more likely to bang something or drop something or break something, not on purpose, but because the body becomes clumsy and the energy that's flowing through the body is not well organized. Learning to perceive that behavior issues are energy issues, are body issues, has allowed me to take all of that and separate it from my concept of who my child is, which takes a lot of the emotional attachment and stress and worry out of it, because it means that if I calm those issues, my son will be just fine. He's just stuck underneath them. And I feel like this is a really healthy way to go about parenting because the more emotionally charged we are about our children or about ourselves and about our setbacks and failures and mistakes that we're making, the harder that we make it for ourselves and for the people around us because all of that stress is just more negative energy, and negative energy tends to be very chaotic and not well organized, which makes it harder for our body to process, which starts this cycle. If you have any questions about learning to see yourself and your child and relationships from this perspective of energies and bodies, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. And if it seems like it would be helpful for other people, I will take whatever you ask about and make it into a video as well, because learning to perceive the world like this has taken away so much of my suffering and simplified parenting to a heavenly degree, even though I'm still not perfect at it and I'm not claiming that I ever will be. But it's a lot easier and there's a lot more love that gets through now. And I feel like everybody deserves to have more of that. Okay, have a really great day.